the Bremen town musicians. The donkey walked along the road with his head lowered and heavy steps, not because he was tired, but because he knew his owner no longer wanted him. So that's it, he muttered. I worked, I carried, I endured, and now it's over. But instead of stopping, the donkey lifted his ears. I won't go back, he told himself. I'll go to Bremen. I'll become a musician there. He didn't know exactly how, but he liked the idea. A little farther down the road, he met a dog sitting by the roadside, breathing heavily. What's wrong with you? Asked the donkey. I'm old, the dog replied. I don't run like I used to, and that doesn't seem to please anyone. The donkey smiled. I'm going to Bremen to become a musician. Do you want to come with me? The dog lifted his head. A musician? I don't sing very well. That doesn't matter, said the donkey. What matters is that we're together. The dog stood up and walked beside him. Not long after, they met a cat on the road, grumbling unhappily. The world isn't fair, she said, without anyone asking. When you're young, everyone wants you. When you get older, it's over. We're going to Bremen, the donkey explained, to become musicians. The cat looked them over. I like music, she said, and adventures. I'm coming. Just before nightfall, they heard a loud cock-a-doodle-doo from a fence. A rooster stood there, looking worried. If I stay here, I won't see the morning, he said. Then you're coming with us, the donkey declared. There's room for everyone in Bremen. So the four of them set off together without a plan, without instruments, but with the feeling that this was the beginning of something big. They walked along the road, each with their own pace, yet moving in the same rhythm. The donkey led the way, confident, as if he truly knew where they were going. The dog watched their surroundings, the cat walked with dignity, and the rooster hopped along, filling the road with his remarks. Just a question, said the cat. Does any of you actually know how to become a musician? A short silence followed. I can bray loudly, said the donkey. The cat looked at them. They kept walking as the sun began to set, the road grew quieter, and the forest around them thicker. Their stomachs started to rumble. Is anyone hungry? Asked the dog. Just then, they noticed a light between the trees, a small house with firelight in the windows and a table full of food inside. That looks promising, said the donkey, stopping. They crept closer and peeked through the window. Inside sat robbers, laughing, eating, and suspecting nothing. The rooster swallowed. The donkey thought for a moment, then smiled. The dog tilted his head. I have an idea, said the donkey. The four moved a little closer, ready to try something none of them had ever done before. The donkey stepped forward and looked at the others. Listen carefully. I start. The dog comes after me, then the cat, and finally the rooster. Clear? Clear, said the dog. They stacked themselves on top of one another, the donkey at the bottom, the dog on his back, the cat on the dog, and the rooster at the very top. The balance was not perfect, but no one moved. Now, whispered the donkey. And they began. The donkey brayed with all his strength. The noise was so great that the windows of the house trembled. Inside, the robbers jumped up. What was that? Without looking back, they rushed outside and disappeared into the darkness, leaving the table full of food behind. The four animals stayed still for a moment, then looked at one another. It worked, said the dog. They went inside the house and headed straight for the table. There was bread, cheese, and warm food. We'll think about music tomorrow, said the donkey. Now we eat. Outside, the night was quiet, but inside the house there was laughter, noise, and the feeling that they had earned a place to rest. After eating well, each of them found a comfortable spot. The donkey lay down by the fireplace, the dog curled up by the door, the cat settled on a soft chair, and the rooster climbed onto a beam high above to see everything. This is the best evening I've had in a long time, sighed the dog. The fire crackled softly, and the house felt calm, but not for long. A little later, out in the darkness, one of the robbers dared to return. Someone has to check what that was, he muttered. A house can't be taken over by noise. He crept closer and peeked through the window. He saw the fire, the table, and shadows. At that moment, the cat, dozing on the chair, opened her eyes. She saw the face at the window and, without thinking, hissed loudly and leaped forward. Me-yo! The robber screamed and jumped back. In his panic, he bumped straight into the dog guarding the door. GRR, the dog growled and burst into barking. The donkey rose and brayed from the depths of his lungs, and above them all the rooster crowed so loudly that the whole house shook. The robber ran back into the forest. "There are monsters in there," he shouted, huge, hairy, and terribly loud. The other robbers did not wait for a second warning. They fled far away and never returned. Silence settled over the house once more. The four looked at one another. "So the house is ours?" asked the rooster. "It seems so," said the donkey with a smile. For the first time in a long while, they all felt completely in the right place. In the morning, sunlight streamed through the windows and lit up the house, which now looked entirely different, not like a robber's hideout, but like a home. The donkey stretched, the dog stood up and wagged his tail, the cat jumped down from the chair, and the rooster announced the start of the day in his own way. "Cock-a-doodle-doo, a new day? For the first time in ages, I don't feel like leaving," said the dog, glancing toward the door. "Me neither," replied the cat. "It's comfortable here, and there's food." The donkey paused. A short silence followed. "To be honest," said the rooster, "we haven't played a single song yet." "But we gave quite a performance," added the dog. The cat smiled. The donkey looked around the house, then at his friends. "We stay," they all said almost at once. They began to clean, arrange, and turn the house into a real home. In the evenings, when the fire burned again, they sat together, and the noise they made no longer frightened anyone. Instead, it sounded like laughter. Bremen could wait. Days began to pass one after another, and the four friends slowly grew used to their new life. Each had a role. The donkey carried wood and tended the fire, the dog guarded the yard, the cat kept an eye on the house, and the rooster made sure no one ever missed the sunrise. "You know, we may not have reached Bremen," said the donkey. "But we found something better," said the dog. "A home," added the cat. "And an audience," crowed the rooster, glancing toward the forest. From time to time, travelers passed by the house and heard noise and laughter. Some stopped, others moved on, but everyone remembered the strange house in the woods where four animals lived, animals who did not give up but chose to go forward together. They never became musicians in Bremen, but every day in their house there was rhythm, voices, and life, just like in a good song. And that was more than enough. That evening, after the fire had burned low and the house grew quiet, the four friends sat together without speaking. The donkey listened to the soft crackle of the last embers. The dog rested his head on his paws, eyes half closed. The cat washed one paw slowly, then the other. The rooster stood on his beam, watching the dark outside the window. Nothing moved in the forest. "And that felt good." "You know," said the donkey quietly, "we didn't plan any of this." "No," said the dog, "but it fits." The cat flicked her tail. "Some places choose you," she said. The rooster nodded. "And some songs are loud without instruments." They fell silent again. Outside, the wind passed through the trees, carrying their sounds away. Somewhere far off, an owl called. Somewhere closer, leaves rustled. The house stayed warm. From that night on, the forest changed a little. Animals passing by slowed down near the house. Birds rested on the roof. Even the trees around it seemed less dark. Sometimes travelers stopped and listened. "What is that sound?" they asked. "It's not frightening," they said. "It sounds like life." The four friends never needed to explain. Every morning began with the rooster's call. Every evening ended with firelight and quiet voices. And every day had its own rhythm. Not fast, not perfect, just right. And if you listen carefully, some say you can still hear them. Not in Bremen, but in a small house in the forest, where four friends found something better than a destination. They found each other